KOMO Seattle.
KOMO FM Oakville.
Number 1 for news. KOMO News 1000, FM 97.7. The news you need now.
For the day's top local stories after ABC.
From ABC News, I'm Richard Cantu. Whoopi Goldberg is leaving The View for 2 weeks. ABC News suspended Goldberg from the show for the next 2 weeks for comments Monday about the Holocaust, which she apologized for on Tuesday.
Calling Whoopi Goldberg's comments wrong and hurtful, ABC News President Kim Godwin put out a statement saying Goldberg has been suspended from The View, effective immediately. Godwin says she's asked Goldberg to take time to reflect and learn about the impact of her comments, and says the entire ABC News organization stands in solidarity with our Jewish colleagues, friends, family, and communities.
ABC's Jason Nathanson. The youngest Americans could be getting vaccinated against COVID soon. Pfizer's requesting emergency use authorization for its COVID vaccine for children aged 6 months to 5 years. Dr. Alok Patel is an ABC News contributor.
We may see an emergency use authorization by the end of February or early March. So hopefully shots are into those little arms not that long after that.
A second top aide to former Vice President Pence went before the House Select Committee investigating the Capitol insurrection. A committee spokesman declined to say what they discussed. The last president is making demands of the committee.
In a bizarre written statement, Trump called on the January 6th committee to investigate Mike Pence for refusing to go along with Trump's order that he reject Biden electoral votes from states Biden won, sending them back to those states for reconsideration. Of course, Pence had no constitutional authority whatsoever to do that.
ABC's Jonathan Karl. 3 environmental groups are suing the federal government, trying to get protection for Florida's manatees, which are dying at a record rate, more than 1,100 last year, double the 5-year average. He played a pet zombie kept by one of the show's characters on The Walking Dead. We've learned of the death last week Sunday of Moses J. Mosley. Confirmation coming from his talent agency, which provided no further details. Moses J. Mosley was 31. You're listening to ABC News. There's been no shortage of people suing to stop face mask mandates in the pandemic. Now a group of parents in Virginia is suing to keep them in place.
Virginia's new Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin's first act was ending the state's school mask mandate. Many of the state's parents now filing a federal lawsuit against the governor in order to keep requiring children wear those masks. Parents say removing the mask mandate puts students with disabilities at risk with other children who aren't vaccinated, and that the Virginia governor's order violates the Americans with Disabilities Act.
ABC's Andy Field. Scams, we've seen a few. The Inspector General for the Health and Human Services Department is issuing
a strong warning to Americans: do not be fooled by COVID scammers. The Watchdog Group says scammers can pose as contact tracers or people doing COVID surveys in an attempt to steal your personal information. The alert says you should be suspicious of any unexpected calls or visitors offering COVID-19 tests or supplies, and that if you receive a call, you should hang up immediately. Also, do not respond to any texts or click any links. Lionel Moyes, ABC News.
Imagine their surprise. The couple returned to their home in Santa Fe, New Mexico, to find a man inside armed with a semi-automatic rifle. He didn't threaten them, but did apologize, then gave him $200 for the window he broke getting inside and then leaving, embarrassed. This is ABC News.
Northwest News Radio, time 10:04, and traffic every 10 minutes on the 4s from the Dubin Law Group Traffic Center. Jay Phillips.
In Seattle, this collision on southbound Aurora Avenue at Roy Street was blocking the right lane. It is now clear, and we do have road work in Seattle. The northbound I-5 express lanes are closed between Seneca and North Gateway until 5 a.m. Northbound I-5, 3 left lanes are closed between the West Seattle Bridge and I-90, and then North 5 traffic is diverted overnight to the collector-distributor lanes. And in Seattle, on the southbound lanes of Montlake Boulevard, those lanes are closed between Pacific Street and East Shelby, and there is one northbound lane also closed. This goes on until 5 a.m. Your next report coming up at 10:14. Jay Phillips, KOMO News.
Shannon O'Donnell with your Northwest forecast from the 1530mortgage.com Weather Center.
Well, hey there, everybody. Heading into a Tuesday night with chilly air starting to spill in from across the Canadian border. Temps will drop 2 or below freezing by dawn. And then we pull in some precipitation for an interesting transition. Going to see a wintry mix around here of sleet, wet snow, and some cold rain during the morning and midday hours before things warm up into the low 40s for most of us by the afternoon. Not seeing much in the way of accumulation, save for maybe a stray inch or two in some locations like Whatcom County. In the KOMO 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell.
And currently 36 degrees in Seattle.
Stay connected, stay informed. The news you need now on KOMO News 1000, FM 97.7.
10:06, Art Sanders and your top local stories from the 24/7 News Center. Inmate advocates are leveling allegations of inhumane and unsafe conditions in King County jails. As John Lobertini reports, these are new concerns in the wake of the Omicron surge.
It's common, inmates testing positive.
It's unfathomable.
But the mental and emotional toll may be more damaging. Inmate advocate Kelly Johnson.
Folks don't have access to their basic needs like clean laundry, hot food, regular communication with their loved ones.
The Department of Public Defense is leading a long list of groups asking the county to rethink who's booked and who's not. Leah Montang, No New Washington Prisons.
The expansion of booking restrictions, demand motions for release, stop requesting warrants.
The Omicron surge, we're told, is slowing the legal process, opportunities for inmates and lawyers to meet, and it gets worse, says mental health professional Molly Mattingly.
We are holding innocent people in jail and risking the spread of COVID-19.
But top prosecutor Dan Satterberg shot back with this. There are few inmates in custody on less serious offenses. John Lobertini.
King County Councilmember Reagan Dunn quickly responded to the proposal, saying it's, quote, absolutely negligent to use the pandemic as an excuse to release dangerous offenders from our jails and to suspend the prosecution of crimes. Downtown Seattle group is looking to shell out even more money for private security for help they say they are not getting from police. They say extra security is needed along a stretch of 3rd Avenue that's run by homeless campers and drugs. KOMO 4's Jackie Kent has details and reaction from businesses.
The extra help is a relief for nearby businesses who are tired of the crime in the area. The group, the Downtown Seattle Association, is contracting with the private security firm Iron and Oak to help protect that busy stretch of 3rd between Stewart and Union. Victrola Coffee manager Alexa Bear says the extra presence from Oak and Iron is needed to help prevent property crime or keep the homeless from harassing her customers. But she's not sure if security guards are enough to reduce the violent crime.
There was a shooting a couple of weeks ago, which was quite alarming. And I have noticed more police officers on the street since that happened, but I don't think that having security is going to deter, I guess, like gun violence or drug use.
KOMO 4's Jackie Kent reporting. Snohomish County's new COVID case numbers continue to plummet. The health officer says we're turning a corner on the Omicron wave. Dr. Chris Spitters says we were lucky the illness was less severe, but he says nature won this one because of the high transmissibility.
Fortunately, hospitalizations were proportionately lower than with previous waves due to the lower severity and the protection from vaccination, and then deaths were much smaller compared to previous waves of this size.
Spitters isn't ready to declare victory, and he's not ruling out the possibility of another variant that makes people sicker or spreads as quickly as Delta or Omicron. Adding more nurses and support staff at hospitals might actually save money. Ryan Harris tells us about new research.
The Washington State Nurses Association rolled out the new George Washington University study to make its case for the bill to require a minimum nurse-to-patient ratio at hospitals. GW researcher Dr. Patricia Pittman says the study looked at several places, including California, the only state with the mandate, where she says they've seen improved patient outcomes and a 55% increase in nurse staffing between 2003 and 2018 compared to just 6% in Washington.
People often are concerned about the cost of increasing nurses, but there are also a number of studies that show that the cost could be entirely and even more than covered by some of these payment policies.
The Washington State Hospital Association says a mandated minimum would send healthcare costs skyrocketing by more than $1 billion. Ryan Harris,
Northwest News Radio, time 10:10, and from the Beacon Plumbing Sports Desk, the Storm bring back the Big Three. Here's Bill Swartz.
The WNBA's free agent signing period began today, and the Storm re-signed three-time All-Star Olympic gold medalist Jewel Lloyd. Sources indicate it's a 2-year core player deal. Word is former MVP Breanna Stewart is also getting a 1-year Supermax contract to stay with Seattle. In Boston, a pair of power play goals from David Pastrnak lifted the Bruins to a 3-2 NHL victory over Seattle. The Kraken were down 2-0, but equalized on third-period goals from Jonas Donskoy and Mason Appleton. It's back to New York for Seattle Wednesday night to play the Islanders. The Sounders had a 1-1 soccer draw in their friendly match against Colorado today in Arizona. Forward Freddie Montero on his goals for preseason games.
Yeah, we're hoping to get more level of fitness. That's the main job that we have in our minds. But at the same time, we're trying to compete.
College football's second National Signing Day is tomorrow. The Washington Huskies get a local player to flip. Sumner High School defensive back Tristan Dunn was going to go to Arizona State. Sports at 10 and 40 after the hour. Bill Swartz, KOMO News.
KOMO traffic from the Dubin Law Group Traffic Center.
Roadwork continues overnight in Seattle. The northbound I-5 express lanes are again closed between Seneca and North Gateway until 5 a.m. And on North 5, 3 left lanes are currently closed from just north of the West Seattle Bridge to I-90. And at that point, North 5 traffic is diverted to the collector-distributor lanes overnight. And in Mount Lake Terrace, northbound I-5 off-ramp to westbound State Route 104 is now closed until 4:30 a.m. And in Seattle, the Montlake Boulevard on-ramp to eastbound 520 is now closed for road work until about 6 a.m. Your next report at 10:24. I'm Jay Phillips, KOMO News.
The KOMO forecast from the 1530mortgage.com Weather Center.
Well, tonight, partly cloudy, slight chance of rain late, lows around 30. Tomorrow, cloudy, slight chance of rain and snow late in the morning, chance of snow early in the afternoon, turning back to rain with a high near 40. Thursday, cloudy, chance of rain, upper 40s. Friday, mostly cloudy, chance of rain in the morning, then rain at times in the afternoon, upper 40s. Saturday and Sunday, mostly cloudy and highs near 50. For Monday and Tuesday, mostly cloudy, chance of rain returns near 50. Overnight lows in the 30s. That's your latest weather from the Northwest News Radio Weather Center.
Stay connected. Stay informed. The Northwest's only 24-hour news station. KOMO News 1000, FM 97.7.
Art Sanders along with you. And Pfizer has taken a huge step toward vaccinating children under 5. The company asked for emergency use authorization from the FDA to allow low-dose COVID-19 shots for young children. Medical reporter Liz Bonas has more.
This is a 2-dose vaccine for children ages 6 months to 5 years old. Studies are ongoing to see if 3 doses would offer greater protection for this age group as well.
The dose is not really the important part. It's our body's response to the dose that's the important part.
Dr. Robert Frank's team at Ohio's Cincinnati Children's Hospital has been studying the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine in these younger age groups since last summer. But if authorized, this shot would be the first COVID-19 vaccine available for the youngest children. In early trials, they were testing 10 micrograms in kids ages 2 and older.
And for the 6 to 24-month-olds, we're actually even going down to 3 micrograms, so even a smaller dose.
Late last year, Pfizer extended its vaccine trial in younger children after 2 child-size doses didn't seem to produce the immunity response expected in children ages 2 to 5. It did appear to do so, however, in children up to age 2. At the time, according to the company, a third 3 microgram dose was added as part of the trial, at least 2 months after the second. But as Omicron is now on the decline and linked to milder illness in younger children,
you see it causing more sinus infections, more runny noses, coughs and that sort of thing.
Cedarville University infectious disease and pharmacy specialist Dr. Zach Jenkins says it does have some parents wondering about the need for a vaccine in these younger age groups. He says it's still an important option
because there's an individual risk to kind of consider.
He says while healthy kids may recover quickly, there's still a lot of risk for children with compromised immunity. He says expanded use of a vaccine in these other age groups would give parents and children an option for protection we don't have right now.
Your pediatrician, based on their knowledge of your child and your knowledge of your child, together, you may have a different perspective on that. you may decide 2 doses or even 3 doses is more beneficial.
Now, both the 2 and 3 dose vaccine studies ongoing for long-term results, too. Pfizer seeking this emergency use expansion in this age group by the end of February. But those familiar with the process say it could be a little bit later, even into March. I'm medical reporter Liz Bonus.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is heading to Ukraine amid its growing crisis with Russia. Meanwhile, Johnson has his own crisis at home. ABC's Lama Hassan reports.
Firstly, I want to say sorry.
The Prime Minister apologizing after the release of a damning report into more than a dozen parties held by his staff during a strict national COVID lockdown, a lockdown he himself had ordered, including some at his own residence inside 10 Downing Street.
I'm sorry for the things we simply didn't get right, and also sorry for the way that this matter has been handled.
The report saying there were failures of leadership and judgment by different parts of Number 10 and the Cabinet Office.
To find out that they have not been following the very rules that they have set is disgusting and sickening.
The Prime Minister now under fire from fellow lawmakers.
The Prime Minister took us all for fools. He showed himself unfit for office.
Johnson promising changes to come in his office, but resisting calls to resign.
I understand the anger that people feel. I get it, and I will fix it.
Now, the Metropolitan Police is conducting its own investigation into 12 gatherings with the Prime Minister present at 3 of them. But the police will be poring over more than 500 pages of evidence, including 300 photos, which could take up to a year. The Prime Minister is not out of the woods just yet.
Your money at 20 and 50 past the hour on KOMO News.
Stocks extended their win streak to a third session. The major indexes all rising a little less than 1% today. The Dow Jones Industrials rose 273 points. The S&P 500 added 31. And the tech-heavy NASDAQ Composite tacked on 106. A new report says Ford is planning an additional investment of up to $20 billion in building its electric vehicles. According to Bloomberg News, which cites people familiar with the plan, the automaker's new investment of somewhere between 10 and 20 billion will be spread out over the next 5 to 10 years and will include converting its present factories around the world to EV production. That's your money now.
For what it's worth, I'm Sherry Preston. We've all heard the pleas to fight COVID, wear masks.
Go the extra mile, be safe, wear a mask.
It reflects well on your character to wear a mask to protect people.
What I want is people to take this serious. Wear your mask.
And that's being bolstered by what Jeff Zients from the White House COVID response team says is
the largest deployment of personal protective equipment in U.S. history.
Hundreds of millions of N95 masks sent across the country. But all those masks used and then tossed, coming at a cost to the environment. The World Health Organization now says the tens of thousands of tons of extra medical waste generated during the pandemic is creating its own problems. Not just masks, but also used test kits and the syringes from billions of doses of vaccines. All of it is adding up. Recommendations in the report include using eco-friendly packaging, rolling out reusable protective equipment, and developing better ways to recycle. For what it's worth. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
It was the highest tide in a century, and combined with heavy snow and days of nonstop rain, damage from the early January storm is still being tallied by Seattle Public Utilities. Carlene Johnson reports.
Seattle DOT and Public Utilities executives gave an after-storm briefing today to members of the Seattle City Council Transportation and Utilities Committee. SPU Deputy Director Andrew Lee told council members the extreme conditions created more water than the system could handle.
January 6th and 7th, we experienced a major storm event, the type we expect only once every 10 years. That in and of itself would have put strain on our system. However, on January 7th, we had a king tide that was nearly 2 feet higher than predicted. It was the highest tide in the past century of Seattle's record keeping, and that to give you a sense of how extraordinary the tide situation was.
Many of the sewer pipes in that area are operated by King County, so Lee said the city will be working with the county to coordinate improvements ahead of the next major storm event. Carlene Johnson.
KOMO traffic from the Dubin Law Group Traffic Center.
Roadwork is underway in Seattle. The Montlake Boulevard on-ramp to eastbound 520 is now closed until 6 a.m. for maintenance work. In Mount Lake Terrace, the northbound I-5 off-ramp to westbound State Route 104 is also closed until about 4:30. And the northbound I-5 express lanes in Seattle are closed between Seneca and North Gateway until 5 o'clock in the morning. 3 left lanes are now closed on northbound I-5 in Seattle from just north of the West Seattle Bridge to I-90, and then North 5 traffic is diverted overnight to the collector-distributor lanes. Your next report coming up at 10:34. I'm Jay Phillips on KOMO News.
The KOMO forecast from the 1530mortgage.com Weather Center.
Well, tonight, partly cloudy, slight chance of rain late, lows around 30. Tomorrow, cloudy, slight chance of rain and snow late in the morning, chance of snow early in the afternoon, turning back to rain with a high near 40. Thursday, cloudy, chance of rain, upper 40s. Friday, mostly cloudy, chance of rain in the morning, then rain at times in the afternoon, upper 40s. Saturday and Sunday, mostly cloudy and highs near 50. For Monday and Tuesday, mostly cloudy, chance of rain returns near 50. Overnight lows in the 30s. That's your latest weather from the Northwest News Radio Weather Center.
ABC Entertainment News.
Whoopi Goldberg trying to walk back some controversial comments on the Holocaust made on Monday's The View.
It's not about race. It's about a different race. But it's not about race.
Then last night she went on Stephen Colbert's Late Show and tried to explain.
As a black person, I think of race as being something that I can see.
She later apologized on Twitter, saying she was misinformed, and on The View Tuesday morning clarified even more.
But it is indeed about race, because Hitler and the Nazis considered Jews to be an inferior race.
But Goldberg's still getting a lot of hate online. Graham Nash joining his Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young bandmate Neil Young in a boycott of Spotify over Joe Rogan's podcast and comments about COVID-19, which Nash calls disinformation. India Arie also wants her songs off Spotify, but not over COVID, over Joe Rogan's language around race.
I kind of have a thing about blood.
And Dexter star Michael C. Hall is 51 Tuesday. Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Hollywood.
Coachella is entering the NFT market. The California Festival will auction off 10 NFTs starting Friday. It will grant the owners lifetime passes to one weekend of the festival every year. Now, the benefits for owners of the Coachella Keys Collection NFTs include lifetime luxury camping, special viewing areas at stages, and private dinners. The NFTs can be sold and traded, and the benefits will transfer to the new owner. Coachella will also sell NFTs as part of its Sights and Sound collection and Desert Reflections collection that owners can redeem for a physical art print.
For the latest world and local news on demand, listen to the KOMO News Update podcast, refreshed hourly around the clock. Never miss a thing. Stay connected. Stay informed with the KOMO News Update. Go to KOMOnews.com/podcasts. Stay connected. Stay informed. Number one for news. KOMO News.
Coming up.
Are we on our way out of the pandemic? I'm Ryan Harris with the health officer who says we need to cool our jets a bit.
The number of historically black colleges and universities hit by bomb threats on Monday almost doubled and are drawing federal attention.
Police across the country receiving an FBI bulletin asking them to send the agency all leads and information about the now 11 threats to black universities and churches. Baltimore's Coppin State University forced to move classes online. Washington, D.C.'s Howard University, the only HBCU not receiving those threats this week.
ABC's Andy Field. Tesla recalling nearly 54,000 Model S, X, 3, and Y vehicles. Seems when they're in full self-driving mode, they'll roll through stop signs without coming to a complete halt. Tesla to disable the feature with an over-the-internet software update. Calling Whoopi Goldberg's comments Monday about the Holocaust misinformed, upsetting, and hurtful, ABC News President Kim Godwin suspended Goldberg from The View for 2 weeks, effective immediately. Goldberg had apologized. Richard Cantu,
KOMO News 1000, FM 97.7.
10:31 right now. Art Sanders' top stories from the 24/7 News Center. Inmate advocates are leveling allegations of inhumane and unsafe conditions in King County jails in the wake of the Omicron surge. Tara Dearborn runs LEAD, an arrest diversion program.
Some of our clients are experiencing inhumane conditions and serious fear and isolation that has contributed to increased behavioral health crises while in custody.
The Department of Public Defense is leading the way with a list of nonviolent criminal offenders that should not be going to jail, like those arrested for stolen vehicle crimes, burglaries, thefts, fugitive warrants, and failing to register as a sex offender. The King County prosecuting attorney, Dan Satterberg, said in a statement, there are very few inmates in custody on less serious offenses. Some public health experts say the end of the COVID Omicron wave will signal the change from pandemic to endemic. Ryan Harris tells us one county health officer agrees. Sort of.
Snohomish County's new COVID case numbers have dropped more than 40% from the peak 2 weeks ago to the end of last week, with hospitalizations expected to follow in a few weeks. But County Health Officer Dr. Chris Spitter says if the pandemic is ending, it won't be an overnight change.
It could be very benign and unremarkable, or we could get another variant that spreads rapidly or that makes people sicker. I think the general statement is true that that's where we're headed, but the time course and bumpiness of the road between there and in here, I think, remains to be determined.
Dr. Spitters also says we're not seeing new cases plateau here like in other places, but he says the decline doesn't mean we should let our guard down. With a reminder, masks, distance, and vaccines are still necessities. In Snohomish County, Ryan Harris.
The new George Washington University study rolled out by the Washington State Nurses Association says the bill for a minimum nurse-to-patient hospital ratio in Olympia would mean better success for patients. The Nurses Association Director, David Keepnews, says hospital administrators' priorities are off because they lay off nurses first when they need to cut costs, but they've given huge bonuses to executives.
It's a short-sighted approach to how hospitals spend their money. Investing in nursing and in healthcare workers is going to lead to a more stable workforce. It's going to lead to better patient outcomes, all of which benefit the hospitals as well.
The Washington State Hospital Association argues any mandated minimum staffing would not increase the pool of available nurses, which could hurt long-term care facilities. They also claim it would force hospitals to deny care when they don't have enough nurses to take on more patients. 4 of the 5 juveniles who escaped Echo Glen Children's Center last week are now in custody. The 4th teen, 15-year-old Ethan Perkins, was captured Tuesday afternoon without incident in Kent. The King County Prosecuting Attorney's Office has filed charges against the other 4 teens involved in the kidnapping, robbery, and escape at Echo Glen. A charging decision for Perkins is expected this week. 16-year-old Deshaun Quabner still remains at large. 10:34 now, and traffic every 10 minutes on the 4s. From the Dubin Law Group Traffic Center, Jay Phillips.
Well, we have road work continuing in the Seattle area. The Montlake Boulevard on-ramp to eastbound 520 is closed overnight till 6 o'clock in the morning for maintenance work. And the northbound I-5 express lanes are closed between Seneca and North Gateway again until about 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. Also, currently on northbound I-5, 3 left lanes are closed from the West Seattle Bridge up to I-90, and then North 5 traffic is diverted to the collector distributor lanes to accommodate roadwork overnight on the main line between I-90 and Olive Way. No restrictions on Snoqualmie Pass, and on Stevens Pass, traction tires are advised. Your next report at 10:44. I'm Jay Phillips on KOMO News.
The Northwest forecast from the 1530mortgage.com Weather Center. Shannon O'Donnell.
Happy Tuesday night, everybody. Cold air starting to spill across the BC border tonight. We'll drop into the upper 20s and the low 30s by dawn, so definitely in the freezing range out of the gate, and then we'll pull some precipitation in over the top of that cold air to give us an interesting mix of rain, snow, and sleet for our Groundhog Day, no less. Not looking at much in the way of accumulations, maybe a stray inch here and there, especially closer to the BC border, before we warm up into the low 40s as we push the snow back into the Cascades during the afternoon. In the KOMO Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell.
Right now, 37 degrees. A flurry of bullets sent neighbors scrambling for cover, and it sent a woman to the hospital early this morning. She was shot as she slept in her bed. Now, KOMO 4's Cole Miller reports many say they just want to pack up and leave.
They were shooting to kill. They weren't shooting to hurt nobody. They had no regard for life.
The 63-year-old woman inside was sleeping, the bullets ripping apart her headboard.
It's a miracle that nobody's dead.
Dory Robinson lives just next door to her at the Woodmark near 96th Street South and Steele.
It's a very scary place to live.
The Pierce County Sheriff's Department says so far there are no witnesses who have come forward forward. And we're told it's too soon to say if more than one person was shooting. But the department says this was not random.
We do think it was probably targeted, but we don't believe that the 63-year-old woman inside was the intended target.
So far, no arrests have been made. As for that woman who was shot, she's now out of the hospital and she's recovering.
An arrest has been made following a shooting at an apartment in Everett. Officers found the suspect this morning with the critically injured victim at the complex along Evergreen Way near 108th Street. Witness tells police she had been at the apartment all night with the suspect and victim, during which an argument began, leading to the shooting. Dealing with wire thieves is increasingly becoming an issue for the State Department of Transportation. Kelly Blyer reports.
If you need to get on I-5 express lanes near 9th and Pike, you'll have to find a new way. WashDOT was forced to shut down its express lane ramps in the area after thieves stole a significant amount of wire. They can't operate the gates or signage for the ramps without power. Elizabeth Guevara with the DOT says these crimes have cost them $129,000 and 641 man-hours over the last 7 months.
You know, they're usually focusing on trying to maintain and support the existing infrastructure, and incidents like this call them away from those tasks.
A lot of these thefts are occurring along I-5 and Highway 167. The ramps at 9th and Pike will remain closed until further notice. Kelly Blyer.
Pierce County Sheriff's Department says a deadly car crash from January 28th in Puyallup has been ruled a homicide by the medical examiner's office. The victim had a fatal gunshot wound. Detectives are asking for your help finding those responsible. Investigators want you to check your security cameras if you live in the area of Woodland Avenue East to 104th Street East where the driver crashed. They want you to check between 10:24 and 11 p.m. January 28th. The vehicle's a blue convertible Mazda Miata with a temporary license plate. Seattle City Council member Shama Sawant is pushing for Starbucks workers to unionize. Details from Jeff Podgela.
Sawant has been taking her message beyond just Seattle, helping to organize labor in other cities as well, and she's had some success.
Soon after winning their union, Buffalo workers went on a 5-day strike and forced the company to give workers paid time for quarantine and self-isolation if they are exposed to COVID.
Now she's doing the same in Chicago and Minneapolis, where she's hoping the city councils there will pass resolutions in support of labor unions at Starbucks stores. But these resolutions don't really do much, as labor law and the right to unionize is typically handled by the federal and state governments. Jeff Podgela.
Bill to increase the penalties for hazing is one step closer to becoming state law. House Bill 1758, which would make it a gross misdemeanor or even felony, has cleared the Public Safety Committee. Democrat Roger Goodman.
I experienced this myself when I was in college, a hazing incident at the fraternity next door to mine where a student died.
2 Republicans voted against the measures, saying people need to be responsible for their own actions. Wallet Hub has named Seattle one of the best places for Valentine's Day. They took a look at the most romantic and cost-effective cities to celebrate the holiday. Seattle came in at number 2, right behind San Francisco. Seattle's top scorers came from chocolate and gift shops per capita, but came in 21st when it came to the cost of a 3-meal course for 2. 10:40 from the Beacon Plumbing Sports Desk. Will Major League Baseball spring training start in 2 weeks? Bill Swartz has major doubts.
Major League owner reps and those for the players met for 90 minutes, a meeting described as contentious, neither side budging on core economic issues, which led to the work stoppage starting December 2nd. Now, spring training camps in Florida and Arizona scheduled to begin February 16th. The Seattle Kraken tried to take down the powerful Bruins in Boston tonight. Scoreless after 1 period, Boston led 2-0 after 2. Different story in the third.
Donskoy shot, scores! Finally, Jonas Donskoy finds the cash. 19:18 left in this third period. The Kraken cut the lead in half.
John Forsland's call on Root Sports. Mason Appleton deflected another puck into the net. Another power play goal, though, from David Pasternak gives Boston the 3-2 victory. It's on to New York, where the Kraken Wednesday night make up a snow-postponed game against the Islanders. On the first day of WNBA free agency, the Seattle Storm inked 3-time All-Star guard Jewel Lloyd to a new 2-year contract. Sports at 10:40 after the hour. Bill Swartz, KOMO News.
KOMO traffic from the Dubin Law Group Traffic Center.
In Seattle, the northbound I-5 express lanes are closed between Seneca and North Gateway until 5 a.m. And the I-5 express lane's ramp at 9th and Pike has been closed due to theft damage. No estimated time for reopening on that particular ramp. Also, we have this construction work on northbound I-5. 3 left lanes are closed in Seattle from just north of the West Seattle Bridge to I-90. Then North 5 traffic diverted to the collector-distributor lanes overnight. And in Mount Lake Terrace, the northbound I-5 off-ramp to westbound State Route 104 closed until 4:30 a.m. Your next report at 10:54. I'm Jay Phillips on KOMO News.
The KOMO forecast from the 1530mortgage.com Weather Center.
Well, tonight, partly cloudy, slight chance of rain late, lows around 30. Tomorrow, cloudy, slight chance of rain and snow late in the morning, chance of snow early in the afternoon, turning back to rain with a high near 40. Thursday, cloudy, chance of rain, upper 40s. Friday, mostly cloudy, chance of rain in the morning, then rain at times in the afternoon, upper 40s. Saturday and Sunday, mostly cloudy and highs near 50. For Monday and Tuesday, mostly cloudy, chance of rain returns near 50. Overnight lows in the 30s. That's your latest weather from the Northwest News Radio Weather Center.
Stay connected. Stay informed. The Northwest's only 24-hour news station. KOMO News 1000, FM 97.7.
Northwest News Radio, Art Sanders with you, and several new developments in the January 6th riot investigation. Records from the Trump White House have now been turned over to investigators, and it seems many of them had been ripped up. ABC's Mona Kosarabdi has the latest.
ABC News confirms some documents from the Trump White House turned over to the committee investigating the January 6th attack were torn up and had to be taped back together. Politico first reported in 2018 that aides were often forced to tape up shredded documents due to Trump's habit of ripping up White House records. A statement from the National Archives seems to confirm that report, saying documents sent to the committee, quote, included paper records that had been torn up by former President Trump. It comes as another person close to the Trump administration cooperates with the January 6th investigation. Former Vice President Mike Pence's chief of staff, Mark Short, has now testified before the committee. The news coming just hours after former President Trump admitted he wanted Pence to, quote, overturn the election on January 6th by throwing out some electoral votes.
That's clearly not what the Constitution provides for. He must be kidding.
At a rally in Texas over the weekend, Trump also suggested he would pardon the January 6 rioters if he were back in the White House.
If it requires pardons, we will give them pardons because they are being treated so unfairly.
Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney responding, tweeting, quote, Trump uses language he knows caused the January 6 violence, suggests he'd pardon the January 6 defendants, and admits he was attempting to overturn the election. He'll do it again if given the chance. And this morning, the New York Times reports Trump was more directly involved than previously known in plans to seize voting machines after the election. The plans were conceived by his advisors to get the Justice Department and other agencies to seize the machines to look for fraud. Mona Kosarabdi, ABC News, New York.
If you're getting ready to file your 2021 tax return, there are two big things you need to keep in mind. KOMO 4's Denise Whitaker reports.
Number one, those changes that are made to the tax code. Number two, the changes that may have occurred in your life. Those are sometimes just as, if not more important. And for the first time in his 35-year career, Mark Stieber with Jackson Hewitt tells me that this tax code this year, it's really going to be the life changes, not the tax code, that are going to cause the most angst in people's lives. A few common examples of this are getting married, having a child. Those are pretty basic. But Stieber tells me that caring for an elderly parent, going back to college, these also qualify as life changes that could change your tax filing.
People working virtually in a lot of cases, different states in a lot of cases, starting small businesses on the side because they were unemployed for a while or a long time, and that has a whole level of complexity attached to it. And then there's states too. So life changes drive more change than tax law changes.
Sometimes, as Stieber says, referring to or keeping a journal can actually provide more insights into these life changes than a box full of receipts. So even though he puts life changes as the biggest challenge for many, many people this year because of the pandemic, Stieber also ran down the top categories of tax code changes that people really need to carefully calculate. Here they are. Charitable donations. You can deduct $600 even if you take the standard deduction. Unemployment benefits. There's no forgiven amount this year, so you have to pay tax on the entire amount received. Earned earned income credit. This year, you can use your 2019 income if it was greater than 2021. And then there's that child tax credit, which this year became the largest tax credit ever given in history. So all of these things to look out for, figure out whether or not you're going to get a refund, how much you're going to get, and a lot of people do. In fact, 3 out of 4 taxpayers do end up getting a refund.
Your money at 20 and 50 past the hour on KOMO News.
Mixed results out of Starbucks after today's closing bell. The coffee giant's adjusted per-share profit of 72 cents was below expectations, while revenue of $8.05 billion topped estimates. It said higher costs weighed on profits, even as U.S. cafes saw strong demand over the holiday season. Generally solid results out of the nation's biggest automaker after the close. GM reported a pre-tax profit of $2.83 billion. Adjusted for one-time items, it had a per-share profit of $1.35. That was better than expected, though sales of $33.6 billion were below forecasts. Stocks rose for a third straight session overall today. The Dow Industrial's up 273 points. The S&P 500 added 31. That's Your Money Now. I'm Jim Chesko.
Washington Attorney General Bob Ferguson is suing Illinois-based COVID control for running test centers that provided invalid, false, and delayed COVID-19 test results to Washington residents. The company has at least 13 sites in Washington. The lawsuit alleges COVID control stored tests in garbage bags for over a week rather than keeping them in a refrigerator. Employees say they were told to lie to patients about delayed test results. Canada's Prime Minister and members of his family have tested positive for COVID.
I feel well and have no symptoms. Of course, I'll be working remotely this week, and we'll keep following public health guidelines.
Speaking to reporters outside his home, Justin Trudeau urged Canadians to get vaccinated and boosted. This as the Omicron variant fuels a surge in COVID cases across Canada. Health updates, Sarah Lee Kessler.
COVID shots for kids under 5 are coming. ABC's Maria Villarreal has details.
Pfizer is formally asking the FDA for emergency authorization for its vaccine for children 6 months to 5 years old. The company says it expects 3 doses will be needed, but because of what Pfizer calls an urgent public health need, they are submitting the trial data available now from just 2 doses.
KOMO traffic from the Dubin Law Group Traffic Center.
Well, currently, the northbound I-5 express lanes in Seattle are closed between Seneca and North Gateway overnight for roadwork until 5 a.m. Also, 3 left lanes are closed on northbound I-5 in Seattle from just north of the West Seattle Bridge up to I-90. Then North 5 traffic is diverted to the collector-distributor lanes overnight. And in Seattle, the Montlake Boulevard on-ramp to eastbound 520 now closed for maintenance work until about 6 a.m. And no restrictions currently on Snoqualmie Pass. Stevens Pass, traction tires are advised at this time. I'm Jay Phillips, KOMO News.
The KOMO forecast from the 1530mortgage.com Weather Center.
Well, tonight, partly cloudy, slight chance of rain late, lows around 30. Tomorrow, cloudy, slight chance of rain and snow late in the morning, chance of snow early in the afternoon, turning back to rain with a high near 40. Thursday, cloudy, chance of rain, upper 40s. Friday, mostly cloudy, chance of rain in the morning, then rain at times in the afternoon, upper 40s. Saturday and Sunday, mostly cloudy and highs near 50. For Monday and Tuesday, mostly cloudy, chance of rain returns near 50. Overnight lows in the 30s. That's your latest weather from the Northwest News Radio Weather Center. Now your Northwest News Radio consumer tip. Here's Herb Weisbaum.
Do-it-yourself genetic testing kits are wildly popular. They don't cost all that much, and you may learn things about your health or your family origins. But here's something to keep in mind. If your doctor does genetic testing, it's protected by HIPAA, federal privacy regulations. HIPAA does not apply to these direct-to-consumer tests, such as 23andMe and Ancestry.
Well, it means you need to be really careful about deciding to share your info.
Catherine Roberts is with Consumer Reports.
Once it's in the hands of a private company, they have to abide by the privacy policy that they put out there, but within the confines of of that policy, they can pretty much do whatever they want.
Even if you read the privacy policy, which most people don't, it's hard to know what could be done with your personal information.
And it's not just your genetic information, it's everything else that you tell them about yourself, about your health or your family, everything like that.
And remember, when you share your genetic information, you're also sharing genetic information about your blood relatives. You'll find more about this in the consumer section of KOMOnews.com. Herb Weisbaum, KOMO News.
KOMO Seattle.
KOMO FM Oakville.
Number 1 for news. KOMO News 1000, FM 97.7. The news from a trace to a ton. When the snow piles up, KOMO News helps you dig out with wall-to-wall coverage on road conditions, traffic trouble, weather forecasts, and more. Plus what you need to know to get ready for the next round. Stay connected, stay informed. Comprehensive snow coverage. KOMO News. KOMO Seattle.
KOMO FM Oakville.
Number 1 for news. KOMO News 1000, FM 97.7. The news you need now.
Northwest News at 11, straight ahead. Partly cloudy, slight chance of rain late. Overnight lows around 30. Right now, 37 degrees.
And breaking out at 11, we have a crew on the way to Renton where police say a driver has been shot to death. Police tweeted they have a large police presence at Rolling Hills Avenue and South Puget Drive where 2 vehicles crashed. So they say one of the drivers was shot in the chest and died. A gun was found in the car. No one was hurt in the other car. Police are still trying to piece together what happened, but say it does not appear to be a case of road rage. We'll, of course, bring you a live update from the scene as soon as